What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going through my Week 1 fantasy football top 20 tight end rankings. I've already gone through the running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends in this video. Defense is also coming out today. If you enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe, questions, comments, feel free to drop them down below. But let's just dive right into it here. Starting off in Tier 1, we have, just in my opinion, the clear top 3 options at the position. We have Brock Bowers, we have Trey McBride, we have George Kittle. I think probably moving forward throughout the season, these guys are all going to be locked in this tier 1 range. Maybe we see Brock Bowers kind of pull away from these guys, but I think moving forward, these guys will be the clear top 3. Moving into tier 2, this is actually a really fun tier, especially early on in the season. I think multiple guys within this tier are going to be more productive early on, and then maybe get some guys back into the lineup. Quarterback changes could kind of hurt them moving forward. So in this tier, I have David Njoku, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, and Sam Laporta. And kind of funny enough, heading into the season, I had Sam Laporta as my tight end 4, but I think everyone I have ranked above him has some sort of weird thing in their offense that's kind of giving them a boost early on. For David Njoku, that is the fact that Joe Flacco was playing quarterback. We know in 2023, David Njoku went on an absolute tear with Flacco at the quarterback position. Flacco's going to take risks. He is going to rip it. He is going to give his pass catchers opportunities to have big games. He's going to rack up some passing volume, and I think that is going to really help David Njoku out early in the season. And then the other concern for Njoku is Harold Fannin kind of working his way into this offense. I think that risk is kind of nullified early on in the season, but could start to become a nuisance later on as Fannin gets more and more comfortable playing with the ones. Then as my tight end 5, I have Mark Andrews. The big concern for Andrews heading into this season and some of the issues he had last year was just his usage, his career low route participation. With Isaiah likely out, I think we're going to see Andrews running a lot of routes. I think he's going to be very involved, and he's going to have that touchdown upside, but I think he also has a much higher volume floor, which is obviously great to see. Then we have Travis Kelce, and we saw early on last year, Kelce really struggled in the first 3 weeks where Rashee Rice was healthy. Once Rashee Rice went down with injury, that's when Travis Kelce really started commanding volume at a high level. So I think early on in the season with the Rashee Rice suspension, I feel like we're going to get some better Kelce games early on, and then maybe kind of tails off once Rashee Rice is back in the lineup. And then another guy with, someone missing from the lineup, we have TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, 3-game suspension. TJ Hawkinson now goes from probably the number 3 target to stepping up as a top 2 target in this offense. Obviously, there's some concern, rookie quarterback, first start with J.J. McCarthy, but as the number 2 weapon in a Kevin O'Connell-led offense, I think TJ Hawkinson is a very solid mid-tier tight end 1. And then we're going to close out this tier with Sam Laporta. Like I mentioned, the only reason he slips is he doesn't have some sort of odd circumstance where J-Mo's missing time and all of a sudden, Sam Laporta stepping up as the number 2 weapon. Pretty much everyone else in this tier, I think, is going to be a number 2 target on their offense. Sam Laporta probably going to be number 3 in week 1, behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Now moving into tier 3, I have Tucker Kraft, Evan Ingram, and Tyler Warren. For Tucker Kraft, I do think he is a solid year 3 breakout candidate. Really showed some flashes last year, has some touchdown upside, kind of a wide open wide receiver room. I really like Tucker Kraft this year as a late round tight end pick. Then I have Evan Ingram, doesn't project super well this week. He could be a guy who kind of, takes a little bit to settle into the offense. Obviously a new situation here with the Broncos, but I really like Evan Ingram. I think his ceiling is fairly high. This is kind of a wide open group of weapons. I think he is a player who has a skill set that Sean Payton can use creatively. So I'm really interested to see how he gets deployed here in week 1. And then the last guy in this tier is Tyler Warren. Now from a season long perspective, I do prefer Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren, but I think in week 1, he just has the much more established role. I'm expecting him to pretty much be a full-time player. We saw with the ones in the preseason, he was pretty much out there for every single snap. There are certainly some question marks with this offense, but I do think from a pass catcher perspective, I think Daniel Jones being in there at quarterback is a plus. And so I think he's going to be involved early on. Back-end tight end 1, I think, is fair. Then tier 4, these are guys where it's if you waited at tight end, you could throw them in there as a start. You're not feeling crazy confident, but they're certainly playable. We have Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, and Colston Loveland. Now, Kincaid has been pretty underwhelming through 2 seasons so far. this could be a year 3 breakout, but even if he doesn't look like, a substantially better player, I still think he has a lot of touchdown upside playing in this Bills offense in a matchup where I do think both teams could end up scoring a lot of points. Then I have Dallas Goedert, pretty low ceiling option, but someone who's consistently going to be like a mid to back end fringe tight end 1 option. Don't really see what's going to change this year. So Dallas Goedert, tight end 13. Then I have Jake Ferguson. You could make the argument that Ferguson has more volume upside in this matchup, where the Eagles are probably going to be winning. They're pretty solid favorites in this matchup, but you also kind of limit the touchdown upside for a guy like Jake Ferguson, with the Cowboys being only 5th in implied points, a very, very low number in the mix with some really, really poor offenses. Then I have Hunter Henry. I think especially early on in the season, he could be a nice kind of like safety blanket for Drake May. We did see him, put up double-digit PPR points per game with May as the starter last year. You kind of have a wide open wide receiver room. Stephon Diggs, first game off the torn ACL. You have Kyle Williams, coming into his first pro game. So Hunter Henry brings that veteran presence, just a stable force in the offense. And I do think he's going to be involved here against the Raiders. And then we have Colston Loveland. The big question is just going to be the usage. And I guess also just like, how does this Bears offense look? I am a believer in the talent of Colston Loveland. He's someone I'm really in on in redraft this year, but I also think he's someone where maybe if you drafted him, it would have been nice to have another veteran presence, kind of like a Hunter Henry. Those are two guys I like to pair together because you might feel slightly more confident playing Hunter Henry early on in the season. We'll see what the usage is like for Loveland, but it's also possible he goes out there, plays a really solid number of routes, and this Bears offense is clicking, and all of a sudden you're just like, all right, he's a set it and forget it tight end moving forward. And then the 5th and final tier, we have Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz, Brenton Strange, and Cade Otton. A tier where you'd prefer to not have to play these guys in normal size leagues, but you could have gotten, frozen out at the tight end position. I get it. We'll start off with Kyle Pitts. Maybe this is finally the year he puts together a big season. I've been in on him over the last few years. It has not panned out. I love to see a Kyle Pitts, I guess kind of like reemergence after his rookie season, but I'm just not holding my breath this year. And then we have Zach Ertz. Not going to have a crazy high weekly ceiling, but he's going to be probably a top 3 target on this offense. He'll be involved. This team does have some touchdown upside. Zach Ertz, mid-tier tight end 2. Brenton Strange, kind of an interesting piece in this Jaguars offense. He's stepping into the tight end 1 role with Evan Ingram gone. Maybe he starts to put together a solid season. And then we have Cade Otton. This is really just due to the injuries to the Bucs pass catchers with Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan out. We saw last year with some injuries, Cade Otton stepped up, took advantage of it. Now you still do have Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka, and we did see, without the games with both Godwin and Evans out, Cade Otton did kind of struggle. So I don't think he's a great play, but if you're really desperate, you could talk yourself into playing Cade Otton. And so that's going to wrap it up for my top 20 tight end rankings. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out the other rankings videos. Stay tuned for the defenses coming out later today. Thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.